Hello, Jennifer, Miranda, Keisha, Veronica, Jessica, Tisha, Lauren, Ingrid, Leslie, Caroline, Lisa, and Danielle. Thank you for another great week of discussion in week 2. I really appreciate all of your insights and interactions as we talked about the ethical obligations that leaders and organizations have to the stakeholders that are part of those organizations. One thing that several of you lifted up that I thought was particularly important and somewhat neglected in our current reality is the idea of accountability. Jessica, Leslie, and Tisha all emphasize the idea that accountability is extremely important for leaders, and how we hold other people accountable in our organizations is crucial to our success. I think this is extremely important. It's very hard for us to hold others accountable. Responsibility is something that we talk about quite a lot. The way I see it, responsibility is an internal job. That we take responsibility, we feel responsible, we can be encouraged to be responsible, but being responsible is an internal quality. That we feel that we should do certain things and behave in certain ways and accomplish certain goals or projects. Accountability is the interpersonal piece that makes responsibility work in an organization. When we hold others accountable, when we say to people, this was the expectation and you did not live up to it. This is the job that you promised to do, and the job didn't get done. Those are hard conversations, but without accountability, without the ability to hold one another to the standards that the organization has, things fall apart. Bad decisions get made, and problems remain unaddressed. Accountability is an extremely important piece of effective ethical leadership. And so we need to learn how to do that in ways that don't diminish people, but in ways that actually encourage and empower people. And later in the course, I'll toss a resource your way that may be helpful in having those kinds of conversations. The other half of the discussion this week was about prioritizing particular groups of stakeholders when there are conflicts or crises, and how do we do that as ethical leaders. Now, I agree the place to start is where Tisha, Miranda, and Leslie started, and they said, well, you have to start with the idea of treating all people equally, of treating all people ethically, and considering their needs and interests. And that's true. That is absolutely true. That is the place to start. However, we will face situations where not everybody can be treated equally, where the consequences of decisions that one has to make as a leader will impact one group of stakeholders more than another group of stakeholders. And we have to decide what are we going to do? Who's going to be impacted? Sometimes who's going to get hurt? Who's going to suffer? Because when a company's revenue drops, leaders have to make a decision. They have to make many decisions. They have to decide, does the executive team still get bonuses this year? Do we cut employees' salaries? Do we lay employees off? Do we reduce the dividend to stockholders? We can't just say, okay, well, we're just going to treat everybody ethically and well. Decisions have to be made about how the impact of that loss of revenue hits different groups of stakeholders. And so some of you said it's clear that there are some stakeholders that should basically take priority. For example, Lauren and Caroline said it's the employees and the customers that should take priority when we have a situation that we have to deal with. Their interests should take priority. That those are the two drivers. Those groups are the two drivers of the profitability and the success of an organization. If you don't have customers, if you don't have people buying your things, you're going to fail. And if you don't have employees who are producing and doing customer service, you're not going to have a business. And so Caroline and Lauren rightly say we really need to focus on those two groups. And Caroline had an excellent insight that there is actually a synergy when you focus on those two groups. That when you focus on your employees and you make their lives better. Caroline had a great description of how she poured effort into improving employees' work experience, improving their work-life balance, employing their job success and job skills. And so the employees were happier, and because the employees were happier, wow, the customers were so much happier too, because they were being served so well. There's a synergy there that happens. That's true too. That's true. And some other people said, well, you know, Ingrid and Keisha said that the emphasis should really be on the customers, because if you lose your customers, you're done. There's no business without people who are making purchases. And Jennifer said customers first, employees second, kind of trying to put those same two groups ahead. And Lisa said the balance. And Jessica and Danielle said the emphasis should be on employees, that you have to treat your employees well in order for the place to work. If you don't have loyal employees, nothing happens. Now, obviously, there's truth to all of this, right? To all of what you said. There are aspects of truth to it. But as I said, there are situations where you're going to have to pick a group who will suffer the effects of a crisis, or who will benefit from some success that you have. There's both kinds of situations. And how do you do that ethically? I would suggest that one of the guidelines that you could have, in addition to the guideline that many of you pointed out, that let us begin with the guideline of fairness and treat everyone ethically, consider everyone's interests and situation. That's a great place to start. And then perhaps ask the question, who has the most at stake in this situation? Who has the most to lose? Who's going to suffer the most? And to take that into consideration when you decide what the result is going to be. So you might say, we just lost a bunch of revenue. Should the people in the C-suite lose their bonuses, or should we fire 600 employees? Think about it that way. Who has more to lose? Who's going to have a bigger impact on their life? What's the more ethical decision in that case? On the other hand, you could say, well, we just had this huge year of profitability. Should we reinvest a bunch of that into research and development in our company so it'll be more successful in the future? Should we give raises to employees? Should we give dividends to our investors so that we can attract more investors? Now, man, that one's probably not as clear a decision. Probably needs a little more conversation and analysis. The point is that these decisions are not cut and dry and easy. But we do have tools to help us make them. And one of the things that all of you, just about all of you, said was very important was the idea of integrity or leading by example. And that is a core value. If the top leadership does not have integrity and they are not willing to lead by their example, it's extremely difficult to have a successful organization. These things are simple. Some of these things are simple, but they are not easy. And the truth is, not all of these things are easy either. You really have to think and consider and analyze different interests and obligations. So thanks again for another great week of discussion, and I look forward to reading your insights and interactions in week 3. Thanks again.